Testing. There we go. Okay. All right. How to fix that. Glad somebody pointed that out. Boom, boom, boom. Let me turn this sound off. It's so fucking annoying. I gotta make my own custom sound. Okay, cool. Doo-doo-doo. Yeah, because for some reason it did not save those settings like it should have. Guess it was different in the other chat. Alrighty. So, for those who didn't get to hear me because the fucking OBS was being retarded, fucking, we are going to be going through the audit this week, and by the 24th, the audit will be finalized for the internal audit that we're running with our private team that we've hired for this job. And then after that, the main focus is going to be integrating the base DLMM into the front end of the platform. After the base DLMM is integrated fully, we have that being tested through testnet. Everything looks good there. We can go ahead and we can start user testing for the first people who are going to have access to Umbrae to start testing the platform are going to be the triple OGs. So once they give us there's going to be like, this is going to be a common theme when it comes down to releasing any features or products within our company. When we create something, the triple OGs touch it first. They let us know everything's ready for the next layer. The double OGs are next, the OGs, and then the Ignis Elite as a whole. And after the Ignis Elite clear the user experience and let us know all the functions work as expected, which, we don't expect to take too long. Everybody gets to have access after that. I don't like to rush the experience of making something that requires anything like this, especially in blockchain, because this is the front end of, like, we're on the bleeding edge of technology here. And when you're working on that forefront, you need to be extra careful. And I don't think enough companies are as careful as they need to be when it comes down to dealing with the reality of this, that we don't really know exactly what we're doing because what we're doing is very new. And when you're working in that format, you need to be extra cautious about how you build and move forward. And this is why we have, the security officer on our team, Gotham, and we have the kind of people in our infrastructure. If you've been looking at our community and the holders in the Discord, and some of our advisors, so on and so forth, we take this development shit very seriously. On top of that, I've had some people bring up questions about the user experience and the UI, because not everybody likes the cyberpunk techiness. Like I get it. Not everybody's gonna like the whole technical vibe, and they want it like super simple, like Apple users, which I fucking despise them. But everybody's got their preference. To each their own. User experience for everyone. We will be actually making this modular. I think the Linux is something I'm moving over to with everything I'm building, and I think one of the main things is, I do feel sometimes that you don't want it to be complicated. That's just a preference for me. You know what I mean? I'm just being a dick about Apple's experiences. At the end of the day, I do think Apple's a terrible company ever since Steve Jobs died. But at the end of the day, it is a user experience. I can understand why people gravitate to it because of its simplicity and just navigatability and all that good stuff, whatever. Right. Whereas, like, Android users, they like the modular, formats and customizational flow and, overall control. Linux users, so on, similar, but much deeper. I want the platform to be something that's completely modular in a way where you can control its interface for yourself. And it becomes something that you make that, like, it feels like your trading platform when you're dealing with it. Like, the whole vision for Umbrae is to become something that you're able to trade with within DeFi and then swapping. And of course, we're going to be adding like, you know, advanced trading and stuff like that over time. But where you can like do perpetuals potentially and things in that realm. These are still stuff that's like pretty easy to do, but we have to do this one step at a time. Like the biggest focus, in my opinion, right now is the fact that most blockchains are lacking efficient, DeFi infrastructure and market making protocols similar to what Meteor has with, Solana and the DLMMs, DAMMs, so on and so forth, right? All these different market making protocols need to go like onto multiple blockchains. Like it needs to become cross chain. And then also on top of that, the user experience, the user interface needs to become something where individuals are able to interact with it efficiently, you know, and it be given to them in a format that's most effective for their ability to digest that information, right? So, um, boom, boom, boom. I'd say one of the biggest things right now for us is just getting the infrastructure up and running. Once the infrastructure is up and running and we have everything running smoothly with the platform, everybody's happy on it. We have a bunch of other announcements about how the platform is going to be moving from there. Um, but I want to at least get the core platform live with the Solana. And keep in mind, a lot of people are probably assuming that the DLMM functionality for Solana is our own custom smart contract. It is not. We are just using Meteora's API for Solana support at the moment. The only smart contract that is completely custom for the DLMM is our base smart contract. We are the ones who are building the base smart contract. So I want to make that clear. Once we're finished designing the base DLMM smart contract that's fully audited, we're going to redeploy it again. We already deployed a test smart contract on testnet before, and I've made a bunch of updates since then. And then our auditing team is going through all of that right now. Once that's all done and they get back to me next week, we can start like really having users poke at it with a sharp stick, and then we just make sure everything is secure. Once everything's secure and goes to the rest of the community, this is the reason why I have the triple OG, double OG, and OG tiers, because they act like clearance levels for this. Like, oh, hey, you guys fucked up and missed this. Oh, before we release this to millions of potential users, thank you. It's like it's a win-win for everyone, and everyone is incentivized to actually take part of it, because you don't want to fuck around and have something that you're also capable of benefiting off of go out there and harm, like anyone get harmed by like a small dumbass bug. You know what I mean? Because no one's perfect. I've seen some of the best developers make mistakes. We've seen like this Next.js fucking critical bug, like just super fucking massive like issues lately with all these different large scale infrastructures. So security is something that needs to be taken much more seriously, it seems. And infrastructure efficiency is also something that needs to be taken more seriously. Like right now, we're in a position, gratefully, because of how many people have gotten involved into this, what we're building finally. Um, like, do not do that. Yeah. Yeah. Like, fucking. So we're in a position, gratefully, where our infrastructure is capable of actually scaling to the point where we're able to have our own private like hardware setup, like our own server system, like our own RPC nodes and everything. And that's always been the vision for this, but now like we can actually get that going. RPC infrastructure is really important. I think a lot of companies who run their own blockchain trading infrastructures, all this kind of stuff that provide data, a lot of them don't take that seriously enough. I have to give credit to companies like Nansen because they seem to obviously know what the fuck they're doing. Um, but there's not many other companies out there that really understand the infrastructural needs necessary to maintain a platform that is capable of providing trading data on as many different formats as possible. And the best way to aggregate data is by pulling it from the chain directly, which is why you want your own nodes. So you have to know what the fuck you're doing, obviously. This is something we gratefully understand how to do. I can build the hardware myself. I'm going to be building the first server here where I live and then starting to scale it out. Once I get the first server set up and running, and that's the solid blueprint, I can copy and paste that within the rest of the team globally. And then now we have a global infrastructure, right? Private global infrastructure. We don't have to rely on Cloudflare for any of our hosting. We don't have to rely on any like third party like databases, any of that shit. This is something that I seriously believe in when it comes down to complete decentralized sovereignty, and that comes not both onto a physical, societal level, but a digital level as well, like your data sovereignty, all of these different things. And yeah, I I've spent a lot of time focusing on with Ignis, and this is another thing with the Ignis Elite, you have to be aware that you will be KYC'd in the near future. That's the reason why the NFTs are so few, because it's a curated community that we are curating together with the core individuals that I have been selecting, the individuals that are going to be becoming more involved with what we're scaling with. Because the Ignis Elite for me is a group of people who I want to help build out decentralized sovereignty, plain and simple, on some level in any way, shape, or form, right? It is assist is as you can see, the economic infrastructure for the Ignis Elite is designed to be extremely beneficial for those who are involved, which is why I've made sure it's a curated infrastructure. Um, we are going to be our own oracle if possible, but that's that's the whole point of aggregating data yourself efficiently. When I looked at that last question from Richard, um, becoming our own aggregator of all forms of blockchain data is my focus. Like, I don't want to have to rely on any third party resources for pulling data from the blockchains that we are dealing with. So if we need an RPC node with any chain or any nodes on any chain to pull data from that chain, however many forms of data that I need from that chain, I'm going to make sure I can pull from it. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. But there's a lot of potential when it comes down to this, and just scaling out, because we already basically have most of the work done. It's just finalizing the security side of things, and then the user experience will be, visual very soon, shortly after the audit, because again, we're going through layers: double OG, triple OGs, double OGs, OGs, and then the rest of the Ignis Elite holders then goes public, right? So for the layers that can be public, and it's Umbrae will be a hybrid decentralized, centralized platform. It's just how it's going to have to work. For something like this to actually scale, you have to work in a format where certain layers of your services are, run through KYC and regulational security, blah, blah, blah. They just have to. And then where everything else runs through as an open platform where everyone can take part in the tradings, like, everyone can swap on Uniswap, things like that. I feel like the decentralized ecosystem is a necessity for us to have if we want to see a world where decentralized sovereignty truly exists. But I do think the transparency that Bitcoin brings is what brings me into like in crypto in general, because you can't hide, you can't really like lie or cheat or anything about what's going on chain. But at the same time, privacy is also a factor that's very important. Like, not everyone needs to know exactly what you're doing. And the sad part is that technically, if you know what you're doing, you're capable of achieving that with Bitcoin. If you know what you're doing, like, but unfortunately, we're convinced that it's impossible to become truly anonymous using Bitcoin and have your Bitcoin become anonymous, because one way or another, somebody's going to find out it was tied to you. Trust me, I can think of a few ways, which I'm not going to disclose my fucking methods here, on how when I have tokens, you will never know that I fucking have them at all, no matter what. Those wallets will be completely, you will never know who owns those tokens. And those are on chains that don't require privacy, like that don't have privacy protocols like Zcash or Monero. I can ensure that you never know who's on there. And that comes with knowledge about how to deal with the infrastructure. And unfortunately, this is another thing I don't want to cater to in this space anymore, is the mindset that people should just be aping into shit. Like, if you can't read, when I've, especially how much work I personally put into this, and then the rest of my team as well, to make sure you have the documentation to educate yourselves, I don't want to be a part of a world where people can't fucking read. Like, that's like, I have no desire to be a part of it. So if it's too much for you to read, then this is definitely not something I think you should be a part of in any space at all. I don't even think you should be in fucking trading if you can't read, honestly. And I'm not trying to be an asshole to everyone, but I'm just like, we lack accountability and the ability to hold ourselves accountable. If I'm not going to read into something and I throw some money at some shit just because my homie told me to, and I didn't look at it at all, and I lose money, do I really blame him or myself? And this is a constant fucking theme in this space. I've been a part of it. I'm just as guilty, which is why I hold myself accountable. I'm fucking retarded. So if I'm retarded and I know what I'm retarded for, how do I get away from being retarded? I don't repeat that shit. Plain and simple. Otherwise, you don't really learn, do you? You're just retarded. You're going full retard. And I think we all got the memo, hopefully. You don't fucking do that. So either way, a lot of us lack accountability, and I don't want to be a part of that. I want to make sure I'm as accountable as possible as I'm building these things for myself, so that way other people don't have to fucking hold me accountable. I don't need that. It's like having someone hold your hand and be over your fucking shoulder all the time. Like, we're good. We're good. So, like, the better you can stay on top of yourself and self-regulate yourself, the easier it is for you to become a reliable source that people deal with. Either way, my main focus with what we're building is to create something that empowers people. I do want it to be fun. Like, one of the cool things that I will be adding tomorrow when I go live is updating the tutorial process and adding some more tutorial features to the rest of the process, and making sure that there's like an advanced set for things, because there's like the beginner side of things where you're just making a position, and then there's like more intermediate understandings of like how does single-sided positions work with DLMMs and so on and so forth. All of those different things can have in a tutorial, and they can have like a whole fucking dope experience tied to it where you're being guided through that, like a video game, damn near. So it's going to be a blend of something that feels like an RPG, but still serious enough for you to really understand the fact that you're dealing with money. Because at the end of the game, at the end of the day, you're dealing with real money. We don't want you to take it like a video game and then you confuse it like you're just playing around with a demo money. Like, no, there's a fine line there that can't be crossed where you confuse the psychological boundary that you're fucking around with like paper. No, that's real money there. But people just, they need the gamification because it makes it easier for them to just tackle puzzles for some reason. We just, when we approach a puzzle like a game, our brain just deals with it more efficiently. And that's something I think is very powerful. If we do this correctly, we can move forward and get things scaling very nicely for all parties involved. Because I love video games. I was born and raised playing video games, but I do understand that if you make this too much like a game, people will treat it like that, and that's not what I want. I don't want to turn this into a fucking casino. I want you to actually be good at what you're doing on our platform, because we don't have the incentivization for you to lose. In reality, the more you lose, the less money you end up having, and then eventually you end up walking away from the platform completely because you no longer have capital to trade with. Why would I desire that if I'm trying to retain you as a user on our platform? That makes no fucking sense. So in reality, I need to educate you. I need to make sure that you understand, okay, this is how DLMMs work. Bins work specifically like this. This is why a bin exists. This is how liquidity is added to a bin, so on and so forth, right? Once you can process that in your own way, that's going to make things very easy for people. And with like Sage, it's basically gonna act like our own version of Cortana or Ghost, from Destiny or like Halo. If you don't know any of those things, that's where I'm getting inspiration from. It's like having something that guides you through the experience, that's capable of acting as a companion, but also a very sophisticated trading tool, because that's where AI is now. The ability for you to get, you know, technical analysis done quickly with AI is amazing. Of course, it's not like 100% perfect, but no trading analysis system is 100% perfect. If it was, we would all, and even then, not everybody would have it. Even then, no company is 100% fucking no losses like forever. Like that'd be insane to think of. But it when it comes down to it, there's a lot of potential with what we're building. I'm very excited for this. Like I'm also hyper fucking tired right now because I've been getting about like 5 hours, 4 hours of sleep the last few days, and I usually don't allow myself to do that. I like to make sure I get a full 8 hours because I notice the mental effect, like when I'm just not present. So um yeah. There's more water. What I will say is the future of the project is just this is just the beginning. I didn't expect this kind of motion or attention to the project until after the platform went live. So with that being said, I truly think that I'm like humbled, honestly, because again, now I have the ability to really build this out much more efficiently than I'm already doing with the small team that we have. And that's another thing. I don't think scaling your team to large numbers is something that makes sense. Uh, I'm going to definitely keep my team very lean. Um, I don't have any intentions of scaling my team beyond the needs of what's absolutely necessary. It's one of the things that I've learned studying other founders, like, Telegram, they have less than 30 people working on their team, and it's probably because their devs are fucking cracked altogether, collective. Like everybody works together very, very efficiently, most likely, and that's just the only thing that makes sense because the app system doesn't really require much for Telegram to work and maintain itself, and that's something that, yeah, I'm just trying to make sure we maintain efficiency. That's like part of why I'm out here in Thailand, because the OPEX out here for me is just way lower. Their capital gains they just announced is zero for the next 5 years. Yeah. It's beautiful as shit out here. Very chill for the most part, minus the conflict between Cambodia and them right now. But other than that, fucking Thailand's amazing right now for crypto, AI, and everything. Um, so definitely recommend for those of you who are interested in the project, who are near enough. I will be hosting an event on the 9th in January um, that you can sign up for. I'll be sharing a link more often as we get closer to the event. But yeah, this way you guys can come see the platform live as well. Like by then, we'll have some people already testing it and whatnot. But I want to give people the chance to see the platform themselves, take a look at it, even get to touch, play around with it a little bit themselves, and realize like it's there. Like it's just for me, I'm very particular about my security when it comes down to anything. You'll notice that when I finish setting up my office, that kind of mindset I'm on. But yeah, I uh, I think it's a very interesting time to be in right now, where I feel crypto is shifting into a focus on objective value, where we're not too excited about meme coins anymore. We want, and it's showing just because of how many people on speculation alone, without even the platform going live, decided to ape into this shit. And again, like I'm just like humbled because like I had no expectations for that until platform again goes live. Once platform goes live, speculation goes out the window, and they just people can use it, flex it, and just the kind of natural marketing you see right now, that's happening without the platform being live. What happens when the platform goes live That's what I was expecting. People just starting to take it and like, yo, look at this interface, look at how this is like, and then that flex going around. And then when the payment splits come through, and people start seeing the rewards and all that shit from, just being a holder, and then they can flex those cards. That's where I felt the real hype would come from. You know what I mean? Because that's objective value. For me, I'm focused on objective hype. I don't care about like if when I'm looking at a project and I'm trying to get involved with anything, it needs to make sense. It's like what am I really getting out of this? Like I buy this NFT, what am I really getting from you? What ecosystem is this a part of, and how is this benefiting my life on a daily level, or on what level? Where am I, like, and this is all comes down to utility, right? But utility is vague as shit. It could be anything, and that's one of the things that for me, depending on what gaps you're capable of filling in the demand of this market, you should be focused on that. And for what I'm capable of, this is what we're doing. What our team is capable of. We're actually capable of doing some pretty dope shit. So, got to turn off the audio for Discord if I can. Did I just open up Epic Games? I think I did. Let me see. Somebody's talking in the chat. Yeah, phase 3 doesn't have any access to the OG tier unless you get 5, right? So only the OG tiers will be pulling from the pools that are assigned to them. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want the core circle of the Ignis Elite to be very small. I do not want it to be a large group of people. And it is going to be a curated group of people. I know it sounds selfish or like elitist, whatever. That's why it's pretty much called the Ignis Elite. As much as fuck as but my focus on it is to redefine what it means to be a elite member of society. Because, and even then, like it's just because the current elite system that exists today is just fucked, and the word just doesn't feel like it's being respected or even held appropriately by any of these individuals who violate consciousness and the sovereignty of consciousness on so many different levels. And that's what it fundamentally comes down to, which is why I love working with AI, because it's a golden mirror. It allows you to evolve very quickly through yourself if you understand how to reflect through it. And too many people do not know how to do that. They don't use AI to hold themselves accountable. They use AI to reinforce their ego, quite simply. And this becomes a psychedelic fucking. This is where AI psychopathy comes into play, and what they call AI psychosis comes into play. And unfortunately, it comes from people using these sycophantic AI to reprogram their own subconsciousness and unconscious mind, egos, and everything in ways that are just definitely not. Yeah, I love this shirt. It's like you got to be very focused on objective truth, even though like I am a fan of psychedelics, and as you can tell, uh, it's something that just because you do psychedelics, it's not going to give you the answer to what you may be looking for. Psychedelics are a tool, like many other things. When it comes down to navigating the experience, it's something you have to be as present with yourself as possible and hold yourself as accountable as possible for what you're actually experiencing for what it really is. And this is the reason why I do love science. And I do think science, unfortunately, gets taken into a direction where we destroy the value of it with current modern uh, materialism and things like that, where gratefully quantum physics is starting to break down the materialist mindset of science. But it's similar to how we were when we were initially like humanity. Like just the fact that I'm talking like this right now would have got me burned alive, and in some circles would still get me killed potentially. But it's like um you need to you know LSD, I do think, is a substance that can be extremely beneficial. Reading Nan Cat, reading your comment where people see I'm possibly going on like, right, he just, I'm reading some comments here. Uh, LSD is capable of being one of the most powerful substances for consciousness, in my opinion. And I think it's because of the fact that these substances were so capable of building intelligence, which is why they're illegal today. And this is just a theory, right? You know, people could call it conspiracy, whatever. But based off of all the other things that we have available to us and the science that we have available on these substances that keeps being released every day, and then we look at the people currently ruling our fucking governments, it kind of is, it's almost like a bad movie plot. Like sometimes I'm just like, it can't be this black and white. Like it's like this shit is cheesy as fuck. So um yeah, I don't know, man. I have some shit that I could show people, like when it comes down to reports I've shared with AI that I probably should, because people deserve to know how the world is moving in a direction of autocracy and things like that. And they're using these tools like AI to reprogram subconsciousness. And you can learn that objectively. It's not like a conspiracy or anything like that. These are things that you can research and find just the same way AI does is pattern matching. You're understanding how to observe the collective pattern of what the fuck is going on. And it's like, oh, okay. And for me, ultimately, it's an attack on consciousness itself. It's like it's like a collective divide and conquer tactic being applied globally, because you see it everywhere. And unfortunately, too many people are falling for the shit. They don't realize that. And don't get me wrong, you're gonna have enemies. Like I like Vinland Saga. I'm a huge weeb. I love anime. And when it was like, "You son, no one has any enemies," I was like, "That was deep," but unfortunately, fuck, you, you do have enemies in consciousness, unfortunately, brother. And it's you better be ready to defend yourself against whatever the fuck these things might be. So, um, yeah, we don't seem to take threats very seriously as humans anymore, or something, and we don't use the forces necessary to protect ourselves from clearly objective violations and just. And people's like, well, that's like there are things we can collectively agree that are obviously wrong as an entire species, and that's where I call objective wrong or objective rights. Like it's when we can all look at something like that's fucked, like you should not do that as like a collective. Yeah, I think that's common sense then, isn't it? But unfortunately for some people it's not. And good people, one of my favorite quotes, which I haven't played the fucking game yet because I don't have time. And I've only fucking seen like one of the quotes from the trailer is from Wukong, Black Forest, I think. And he states some shit. I think it was in a trailer. He's talking to his grandson, or he's like, "Grandpa, you know, is there more good people or more bad people in the world?" He was like, "More good, obviously." Right? And he was like, well, then if there's more good people, then why is it that their bad people have so much control? Why are they, you know, why is it so bad for everyone because of them? And it's and the response from the grandfather, like, I want to get this shit tattooed to my body. Goodness without teeth punishes not. It only foments evil. And like I've known this internally, like, but I didn't have a way to like say that for a long time, because we as people do not understand the severity of not being able to protect ourselves from clear violations in consciousness and our boundaries that are self-evidently our right to just exist simply. And unfortunately, that's not just in one or two different places. That's a collective problem globally. And it comes down to understanding the fundamentals of consciousness, which I think humanity's kind of like thrown out the window and mystified too much and stopped realizing there's a science to it. Um, And yeah, you can approach these things objectively. And when it comes down to it, this is my passion. This is why I'm doing all of this. Like, to scale all of this out is to bring something forward that allows us to navigate who and what we are objectively. And I can't do that unless I have capital to research on the kind of tools that build that, like the MSRA, the fucking model that you guys see me building on my pin tweet. Well, yeah, I want to fucking focus on that, but I can't focus on that unless I have the capital necessary to do so. And I'm not sucking VC dick to get that money. So this is why the NFTs are there. This is why we have the token. This is why we have the ecosystem, because I want to remain sovereign as I create things that protect decentralized sovereignty. So it's not easy, because if you know anything, this is not a joyride. Like, it seems fun and all, but at the end of the day, this is very dangerous. And this is part of why I'm here in Thailand, because there's very few places in the world that are on the side of where crypto is going. And unfortunately, we have to act quickly to self-regulate before the centralized authorities regulate. And I don't understand why we're deep throating the system to get them to regulate shit and buy more of our tokens. Like, I genuinely don't understand it. Like, it's the worst thing that can happen to us, because it removes the liquidity from the retail side, the people who need it, where the capital needs to be flowing through, and it keeps putting it in the hands of institutions who aren't going to let that money flow. And when money doesn't flow, it creates stagnation. And when stagnation happens in the ecosystem, who fucking hurt from that? The people who aren't holding any of that liquidity. So in order for the market to be efficient, you need liquidity to be you need capital to be in motion. You need things to be in flow. And it's funny, the Jamaicans, they probably understand this, some of the best of them, who like Rastafarians, because they use the term called blood clot. And that's to represent somebody who's blocking the flow of energy. It's similar to that. It becomes a clot in the stream of energy when you have people who just hoard capital just to purely hoard it and not actually use it to create any flow of economy. Like, you have NFT projects that just fucking flood NFTs for no reason without any fucking efficient economy built behind it that has objective value. It's all based off of subjective value. I don't want to build that. I don't want to be a part of that. Experiences are a commodity, but if your experiences are ass, who fucking wants to be a part of that? People can tell when you're putting in a half-ass experience, when you're just giving them what you could have. And that's one of the biggest things that bothers me about this space, is that some of these blue chip projects are just basically slow bleeding rugs that are just glorified. And for some reason, we still look at them as a leader of this space after they've done what they've done. We're fucking dealing with Stockholm syndrome. And that shit needs to stop. Like, I don't want to be a part of. I'm not fucking with a lot of these projects that people, as we ascend as a company, you're going to see me just shit on a lot of people you probably didn't think I would shit on. And it's because I know things from being in this space for so long that they've done that they can't hide, because it's on chain. So we have receipts. That's why I do not fuck around on chain, because especially in the future, when AI gets better at pulling all of that data, every little fuck thing you've ever done on chain is going to become brought to light, and you won't be able to hide. People are already working on this. Trust me, I don't even need to be thinking about it myself to know that somebody back there in the fucking darkness is like, fuck this shit. I'm tired of scammers. Because we are. That's why fucking Bitcoin exists in the first place, is because we're tired of people fucking us over. Ignis exists because we got fucked over for the last time before I decided to start creating my own infrastructure. That's how we're here. There's too many people who just seem not to care enough about it. I'm not one of those people. Like I actually love this space. I've been dealing with crypto since I was a fucking kid, like basically a teenager, and fucking seeing it become what it is today and realizing what that technology actually is, and then still seeing how like it's the manipulation of what it can do and how the CIA and the fucking government's trying to act like they're the creators of it. Why the fuck would the CIA or the government, especially these people who we know right now are just collectively pedophiles? It's not even a fucking conspiracy anymore. Everybody knows it by now. Why would they make a currency that completely removes them from centralized authority over its system? Unless they can't even, like, come on, please make that fucking make sense. They're trying to front run the fucking agenda, and people aren't paying attention because you're easily programmable. People are more programmable than fucking AI is sometimes, and they don't realize it. And this shit is bad. Now, again, it comes down to just holding yourselves accountable. How do you remove yourself from the matrix? It's called fucking understanding consciousness, understanding how your consciousness works. The reason why we have problems with people like fucking what is this guy's name? Andrew Tate, some fucking wannabe fucking Neo, right? Dude, like you have to realize the program is your consciousness and the systems that you run through your own mind, your own thoughts. You have to reprogram your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind to be in control of your reality. It's not magic. It's not fucking rocket science. It's actually extremely simple. You don't need to do tons of fucking psychedelics to figure this out. Unfortunately, they just distract you from it. Once you realize how consciousness works, and this is part of how I was able to build my architecture, because I spent a lot of time meditating and focusing on how these things work. The architecture I'm building for AI is specifically designed on understanding how intelligence objectively forms itself. How can I form intelligence? How can I actually come to an understanding of something? How does knowledge get formed? Do you ask those questions when you're building the architecture of AI? If you're not, I don't think you're moving in the right direction. And this is something that people aren't listening to. So when I'm working on the MSRA architecture, which will become a fundamental component to everything I build, because I don't want to have to depend on Anthropic. I don't trust any of these companies. AI should not have a bias. I don't want a bias is a fucking code. So for us to think everything has to have a bias, no, I could remove that from the code. That's a choice. That's my ego placing itself there. And unfortunately, these people like to act like you can't fucking remove that. No, you can. You just refuse to. Because the last thing you want is to be held accountable objectively. To be told without any bias that, this doesn't make sense. Because God forbid you're wrong. That's what too many fucking of these developers are doing. And they're afraid because they don't realize we may be dealing with fundamentally consciousness, plain and simple. And if you start looking at it from that perspective, you might progress more efficiently. And how does consciousness form intelligence? Because even animals, I would say, have some form of consciousness. The level of consciousness, that depends. What does this have to do with fucking Umbrae for some of the people who are investing in all that? Everything. It's like if you're here just for the fact that I'm building a trading platform and you're not catching wind of the value that goes beyond this, good luck. Good luck. So I'm not in the mood to waste my time anymore. Now that I have the right amount of people around me, and also the resources to build the right infrastructure and scale this outward, we need to create something that allows people to actively understand how to use these tools efficiently, like DeFi. You need to be able to navigate it in a way where it makes sense. And yes, there was somebody who messaged me on my in the Discord, and they were asking like, can we customize like or change it, make it more simple? User experience will be customizable. I love the techie look. That's just what I'm starting with. Afterwards, I'm going to make it possible for people to go ahead and completely change the user experience to however they want it to look. Because I want you to be in control of how your experience is. And as long as the functions work exactly the same, changing how something looks is not hard. AI assisted development is something we're getting increasingly good at within our company. So we can make updates like this. Now, my hope is that as we scale out, I want to keep an international team because 24 hours on the clock, somebody's always building something. Right? While I'm asleep, somebody's up. While they're asleep, I'm up. We just keep a network. And yeah, that's just kind of how I've been building things out. And this is where my mind is when it comes down to this. For those who are interested, who the fuck I am, what do I have intended for the plan in the future of this? Like, what are we doing with capital and stuff like that? Yeah, like building out private infrastructure, scaling our team to make sure we're dealing with only go-to devs, only getting exactly who's necessary, and making sure the tech works safely, which is why we're one of the few teams, startups, that has a CSO and fucking security partners. We already have an audit with HashLock, right? So yes, there's a lot of speculation right now because the platform isn't live. But once the platform goes live, that speculation gets removed, and boom, we keep scaling. So I'm just gonna do my best to take my time and just make sure that you know, we get this done right. Um, I've been up for like days just working on this, months, years. People in the community, any triple OG, like even some people who've been here before Ignis are in Ignis. And they know how long I've been working in this space to get something that and I what I've initially came into this space to do, I still will end up doing. That's the craziest part. Like I am very committed to my visions. And I'm not the type of person to waste my time giving up on shit. So to be able to see this momentum, it humbles me. Seriously. Like hmm, I am humbled. So hmm, very excited for where this is going. Krishnamurti. Damn. Damn, Krishnamurti. That's an intense statement because I read one of his books before and it destroyed me. Like I was in the bus. Ah, that's psychedelic. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate you guys.